Let's look at our special cases for factoring. First thing we're going to do is just remember how to use the box method. So I have x minus 6 times x plus 6. So go ahead and put, I don't want a highlighter, x minus 6 and then x plus 6. And so we are going to multiply x times x is x squared. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. 6 times x is 6x. And then 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. It's just a review. And then we add our diagonals because these are like terms. So don't forget we're adding them. So if you need to, put a plus sign where they cross or intersect. So we have x squared. Then I have 6 minus 6. That is 0. So I can either put 0x or I can not put it at all. I'm going to go ahead and just put it so that you see. And then minus 36. But remember how we like to get rid of anything that's not necessary. So we really don't need plus 0x. So I'm going to put x squared minus 36. So this is not a trinomial. It's a binomial because we only have 2 terms remaining. So we learned how to do this. Now we're going to learn how to go back to that. We always learn how to undo things. Okay, so we'll look at the first example. To factor a trinomial, we're going to undo the multiplying using the x box. So I have x squared minus 81. So I have an x squared. So remember, we always look at ax squared plus bx plus c. In this case, we don't have a bx. But I guess we could write it like x squared and then minus 81. So we have a 0b. 0x because the b would be 0. So when I use the x box, that's how I'm really looking at it. So let's do the x. Up top is always a times c. So that's 1 times a negative 81. So that's negative 81. And then our b goes on the bottom, which is 0. So I need to find the numbers that multiply together to get 81, but add to give 0. So go to your calculator. And we're going to put in negative 81 divided by x and hit second graph. So look at your list to see what we would get 0 from. So you're adding them up to see which one gives 0. The only way to get 0 is if it's the same number, just one's positive, one's negative. So if you keep on going, 9 and negative 9. So those are the magic numbers. So if we have a box, let's go ahead and fill in our box. So we have x squared minus the 81. Then we have 9x and negative 9x. Then we've got a factor. The only way to get x squared is if the first terms were x. X times x is x squared. And then I'll look and see x times what gives us negative 9. X, negative 9, because negative 9 times x is negative 9x. And then my last term, what times x gives us 9? 9. Then our last thing, just to double check, is to make sure that 9 times negative 9 is truly 81, negative 81, and it is. So our answer, our factored form, is x minus 9 times x plus 9. Okay, let's go to example 2. 9x squared minus 25. So same thing. 9x squared plus 0x minus 25. So now I can do my x. A times b. So 9 times negative 25. Use your calculator. 9 times negative 25 is negative 225. And then I have 0 here. So go to your calculator, and we are going to put in negative 225 divided by x. And then go to our tables. And remember what we need? We need them to add up to 0. So it needs to be the same numbers. So where is it the same? Do you see it? 15 and negative 15. So those are the magic numbers. It's easy whenever we can use the calculator to find those magic numbers. So negative 15 and 15. Now do your box. First term goes in the first box. Last term goes in the last box. And then our magic numbers go in there. So then look at row 1. So I'm going to use my little laser pointer. Row 1 right here, and column 1 right here. See how they're the same? 9 and 15, 9 and 15. So that means that what goes out here is going to be the same except for the sign between them. So what times itself gives us 9? It's 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So this is 3x. So 3x times 3x is 9x squared. Then I look and see, well, what times 3x is going to give us 15x? It's going to be 5. And so then this, because this is negative, that's going to be a negative 5. And the last step, negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. So that means our box works out. So then our solution is 3x plus 5 times 3x minus 5. Are you seeing any kind of relationship between our answer and the question that we had? Perfect squares is your hint there. 9 is a perfect square. The square root of 9 is 3. 25, square root of 25 is 5. And then they are different signs. One's positive and one is negative. So then over here on number 1, let's look at number 1 real quick. X squared is a perfect square. The square root of x squared is x. Square root of 81 is 9. So we get plus and minus 9. Okay, let's go to our last example. It says 2, but it should say 3. X squared minus 16. So this is x squared plus 0x minus 16. A times C is negative 16, and B is 0. So what multiplies to get negative 16 but adds to get 0? Same numbers, just different signs. So if you're not sure, put it in your calculator. Negative 16 divided by x. And then you're looking what multiplies times itself, but one's positive, one's negative because it has to equal 0. So do you see it? It's 4 and negative 4. This is x squared minus 16, or negative 16. And then your diagonals are 4x and negative 4x. So it's x times x to get x squared, and then x times negative 4 to get negative 4x, and x times 4 to get positive 4x. So this is x minus 4 times x plus 4. Okay, you could use the shortcut, but Xbox always works. I would just look at, is this a perfect square? 16 is a perfect square. The square root of it is 4. So see how we have plus 4 and minus 4.